Namaste and greetings. I, GBAT, researcher and assistant editor at IMPRI, Impact and Policy Research Institute, Prabhav Evang Niti Anusandhan Sansthan, Nai Delhi, extend my warmest welcome to you all to IMPRI #Web Policy Talk. The recently held COP26 was widely hyped as the last chance to save the planet. Although it ended on a more modest note, some progress have been made, and today we are gathered for the panel discussion on COP26 and urban local governance as a part of #Local Governance with Tikender Singh Panwar. This event is organized by IMPRI Center for Habitat, Urban and Regional Studies and IMPRI Impact and Policy Research Institute, New Delhi. Now, let me take this moment to introduce the gathering. As the moderator for today's series, we have with us Tikender Singh Panwar. He is the former Deputy Mayor of Shimla and a visiting senior fellow at IMPRI, New Delhi. We welcome you, sir. Moving to our esteemed panelists for today, we have with us Professor Chetan Vaidya, who is an independent urban advisor and the former director of the School of Planning and Architecture, New Delhi, and National Institute of Urban Affairs, New Delhi. We are honored to have you, sir. Welcome to you. We are delighted to have with us Professor K. Pandey, who is a professor of urban management and the coordinator of Center for Urban Studies, Indian Institute of Public Administration, New Delhi. We welcome you, sir. We are pleased to be joined by Dr. Vikas Desai, the Technical Director of Urban Health and Climate Resilience Center of Excellence, Surat. Welcome you, ma'am. Now, I invite our moderator, Tikender Singh Panwar, to initiate the discussion with his opening remarks and to proceed with the discussion. We look forward to learning from our esteemed gathering. Thank you.
Thank you, Etty. Should I still, is it Etty fine, or should I, yeah, because normally we use the first name. Anyway, so thank you so much. And I once again welcome all our panelists. And I believe this is going to be a wonderful session because this is something that is not quite heard of. You know, when we've spoken a lot about COP26, lots and lots of literature has really flown. I mean, talking about the NDCs of the government, but actually building this connection between COP26 and urban local governance is like quite fascinating because not just for the simple reason that the urban India consumes a fairly large share of resources and also is a fairly large emitter of carbon gases, but also because how do we manage this in our cities, and how do we understand this in our cities is, I think, a big question mark. How much do we have to explore is another question, which probably our panelists and which would be led by Professor Chetan Vaidya would be speaking about. There are 2 or 3 points I just quickly want to make. The first is that, you know, when all hopes were lost, I was there in Paris in the climate change talks. And after that, we saw the election of the largest emitter of the world, the United States of America. And Trump came in and he said, hell with the climate deal. I mean, I don't give a damn. But then I know some of the mayors of the cities who profoundly said, our federal government will not decide what we have to do in our cities. And, you know, one of the major push that we saw in the elections for defeating Trump and in fact bringing out a new climate deal, how so good or how so bad, I don't want to comment that because that's not our domain, actually comes from the cities. You know? Okay, so the kind of governance that we witnessed there. And then we've also seen some of very radical kind of interventions happening in England, where we've seen climate becoming a political issue. If you look at the manifestos of some of the major political parties, especially Labour, they went to the extent that those who do not commit to climate deal or to reducing the carbon footprint should actually be dissuaded even from trading in the stock exchange. I mean, that's quite radical. I mean, that's quite totalitarian, I would say. But yeah, this is what we have witnessed. But then when we go to Glasgow, it's quite unfortunate in the sense that cities figured nowhere actually in the discussion. And I remember some of my city partners who were there and complaining that it was quite a lateral entry after much deliberations that were like kind of incorporated. And so what is it, Professor Chetan? I mean, when I come to you, you must address this issue also, because we were really concerned about coal, or whether these two words, whether we'll phase down or phase out. I mean, how are we going to do that? But at the same time, I think one of the important areas that is, which was there in Paris, was like kind of missed out. I would like you to dwell on that. And the third part is coming back to our own country and our cities. What do we do with it? Because if you see the NDC, you'll find there's mention of smart cities. There's mention of, I believe just one paragraph that speaks about urban India or cities, which is not sufficient in fact. And the smart cities, I remember a study done, because unfortunately the study, we really lack data on that. We're not even sure whether the kind of infrastructure building that is taking place in smart cities leads us to reducing our carbon footprint, or in fact increases that. So I think, and when we talk about creating those smart climate change action plans of various towns, cities, what do we do with those plans? And the plans are there, not all. So first, I think we have to understand, what is our situation at the ground level after we take after we draw inferences from some 5,000 cities, statutory, non-statutory towns, it goes to around 8,000, 9,000 small towns and cities. Forget about small, small towns. Even larger cities. Take for example, Mumbai is talking about a climate action plan. But what would they do? There will be interesting data coming up. I do not want to question the veracity of the data, but at the same time, once the plan is made, the city is like crippled because it hardly has anything to perform. In the sense, some way you'll have the plan would be there, but the point is that how do we mainstream it? How do we integrate it with the overall city development or city planning processes? Unfortunately, that link is completely missing. And I remember, because I was in Shimla for 5 years. What not? You ask a plan, the plan is there, but after some time it licks the shelves of the dust files in some municipal corporation office, because nobody looks at it. So what do we do? I want all our panelists to really come on that, apart from the international thing. So over to you, Professor Chetan. I think we look forward to a very interesting discussion. Yeah.
Can I take over? Can I speak? Hello. Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Tikender Singh Panwar. You have given excellent background and of the thing, and also raised issues which I may not respond, all of them, to what you said. As an author, I can take that liberty, but I will try as much as possible. But I have more positive view about urban India than what you have said. Maybe that is something to do with my age. I also thank IMPRI for this opportunity. It's really a privilege to be here on the panel on this important subject, along with Mr. Panwar and with Dr. Pandey and Vikas Desai. It's really an honor and a privilege to be here on this occasion. Now, as we all know, COP26 was in last October, November, and it called for cutting down emissions, climate finance, and managing losses due to global warming. Our Prime Minister made some very bold statements and commitments. He said, we'll have net zero greenhouse emissions by 2070. It was expected to with 50, but we agreed for 2070. And then he made 4 very strong non-fossil electricity capacity of 500 gigawatts, 50% electricity capacity from renewables, 1 billion tons of emission reduction, 45% reduction in emission intensity of GDP. And through these commitments, India has now have to move strategically to achieve these targets, especially for 2030, which is only 9 years away. We have to move just beyond green financing and innovative technology. We still have to frame a comprehensive plan for 40 years from 2030 to deliver our goal carbon neutrality. Urban sector has to play a very crucial role in achieving these commitments. Without involving cities, we will not be able to our goals. And that is extremely important to, cities are there or not, but unless we participate as an urban sector, will not achieve our commitments and goals. Now, as we all know, urban India was 37 crores in 2011. 31% was urban population to total population. There are about 4,000 or 5,000 urban local bodies. In 2011, 46 of them were as large as 10 lakh plus. We are facing, the urban India is facing extreme events like floods, heat island effects, and so on. And some of them are due to climate change. But we must appreciate that urban India is very large and it is very diversified. So one size fit all will not work for all urban India as a whole, even from the point of view of climate change. Some possible actions and which needs discussions to localize urban commitments in urban context are focused on moving towards low carbon urban transport. This will include integrating urban transport with land use planning and preferably also with financing. I mean, unless we do this together, we'll not be able to go for low carbon urban transport. Promoting green development and green buildings, identifying and implementing planning instruments to move towards zero low carbon sector, which might mean changing our UDFI urban planning for master plan guidelines. Also focusing on large-scale forests and plantations, promoting scientific waste management and methane emission reduction, and preparing cities to access climate financing. Now, all this is extremely difficult, but in this context, our Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs has stated that the revised National Mission on Habitat, Sustainable Habitat, NMSH 2021 recent document, is enabling climate actions to address overarching framework to facilitate adoption and implementation of sector-wise climate action strategies, which includes urban governance, capacity building, data technology and innovations, and financing mechanism for the mission. Now, Ministry has also taken a number in climate initiatives. One is, of course, Climate Cities Center has been set up at National Institute of Urban. It has also set up a Climate Cities Alliance of 70 organizations who want to work with cities on climate issues. And most importantly, there is a Climate Smart Cities Assessment Framework, which looks at 5 sectors. There are many indicators, but broadly 5: urban planning and green cover, energy and green building, mobility and air quality, water management, and waste management. Last year, 126 cities were covered by this assessment process, ranking process, if you manage to call it. And only 8 cities got 4-star rating. None of them got 5-star rating. So nobody is 100%. 8 cities are getting about 80% rating. I believe this assessment promote getting climate measures to promote climate measures for citizen participation and more actions at the city level. We all know that Swachh Bharat ranking, where Indore has got first award for 5 years, every citizen, almost all citizens of that city are now part of this. Humko Swachh Bharat mein pehla award lena hai. And even an auto rickshaw wala pride in becoming the cleanest city for 5th year. Can we get that into climate change issues? Is all. The number of things happening on sustainable development issues in the city. Cities are promoting public transport, walking and non-motorized transport. They are developing Miyaki forest. There is steps taken for energy savings, which is called LED street lights, solar-based street lighting, electric and automobiles. There is also a focus on sewage treatment through nature-based solutions, decentralized nature-based solutions. And Pune recently had organized this pedestrian day. All this seems to be ad hoc. They are not linked. But as mentioned earlier by our moderator, many cities have prepared city climate action plans, includes Rajkot, Coimbatore, Kochi, Udaipur. And Maharashtra state government has given mandate for 45 cities to prepare their city climate action plans. Rajkot and Udaipur, what I know, the climate resilient city action plans have been approved by their general boards. So there is a general acceptance. Rajkot, it seems, have gone for 3 iterations of their climate action. I mean, at different stages, different issues were covered. It covers various mitigation and adaptation interventions which have been identified by the corporation on greenhouse emission inventory and urban system analysis in line with existing plan as well as with future projects. Now, as mentioned earlier, Mumbai Municipal is drafting a Mumbai Climate Action Plan. It is looking at climate resilience in mitigation by focusing on 6 areas, that is sustainable waste management, urban greening, biodiversity, urban flooding and water resource management. This would be looked at. Now, as we all know, at the ground level, city corporations, urban local bodies are going to be crucial for their services and resources. And this all has been seen in management of COVID-19. As an example, how cities use the Integrated City Command and Control Center, which was set up under Smart City Mission, which turned into war rooms and created also dashboards to monitor the disease and communicate with citizens. Now, they also played an important role in raising both finance and other in kind. Now, in case we need to involve urban local bodies to play a crucial role in climate management, we need to empower urban local bodies. Some of the issues which the moderator was mentioning is because we have not empowered our local bodies. 74th Constitutional Amendment, 1992, started the process of empowering local bodies in terms of functions, functionaries, and we have regular elections now, we have reservations, we are setting up State Finance Commission, but the 3 functions, finance and functionaries, have not been tried in all states. Kerala is one of the few states which has implemented 74th Constitutional Amendment in letter and spirit. People Plan campaign also give financial resources to urban local bodies in the state. There is also, along with this, there is a strong self-help group called Self-Help Women's Group Movement called Kudamshri. And all this is help for decentralization. But Kerala is a unique example. Kerala sometimes is not rest of urban India. Most states have not handed over or empowered their local bodies, and organizations of state level organizations like water supply boards, development authorities, either do not work in integrated manner with the urban lawyers, and sometimes even they work against the urban local bodies. Now, if you want to institutionalize climate actions, the urban local bodies will require developing capacity and increasing personnel dedicated to the cause. The support of the highest level is required both at the city and the state government level to identify climate resilient actions. I'm quoting from a report by NIUA on Gujarat, which is true for rest of India. Personally, I am more confident that our empowered cities with appropriate technical and financial assistance will be able to respond to climate change issues. These challenges will become opportunities to introduce urban innovation. And finally, I sincerely believe, more and more start get involved in urban service delivery and revenue collection, both in service delivery and revenue collection using latest IT technology. And in this context, we need to set up a separate IT platform. There's a separate IT platform in urban sector to promote startups and innovations. We should also try to do it for India as a whole, so people can also learn from each other. Even the startups need to. And there's a sort of competition called hackathon, which we should promote for urban India, both for the climate related issues, also with the other urban issues. Thank you so much, Moderator.
Thank you, Professor Chetan Vaidya. And I just saw a message from one of the participants that the lights behind you are beautiful. They are the northern lights. I didn't know that they are the northern lights in your background. Anyway, thank you for that presentation, and of course, also the way how Government of India is planning ahead with the NDCs. Well, I'm sure that the other panelists would respond to that, and of course, what else, whatever they want to add to this topic of corporates. I think from here we move towards Dr. Vikas Desai. Over to you, ma'am. I mean, you can just.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I had some connectivity problem and technical problem, so I was not much. I'm not much aware of what is talked about, but I would like to talk about the local experience of Surat city, which is a historical experience of working with environment as well as climate. And I would like to share that experience of local governance, urban local governance. But before I go to that, as you had already mentioned, every city is different, and urban planning and urban should be viewed as localized service, localized event, localized action, based on the basic principles which are laid down internationally, nationally, and so on. That's what is the first lesson which we have learned. I am in the city which has the oldest municipality, and which was very popular as a filthy city and filariasis city, and now it is and good food also. But now we are proud to be a clean city. We are proud to be a city which is a smart city, coming up smart city, as well as city which is worried about climate and have started action about the climate resilience. And that is what is the beauty of city, which has won several awards also in its efforts to do this activity. Some of the things which cities has already put in place is increasing green cover, increasing the going for the renewable energy, planning for mobility. We had for years no public transport system. Now it has come up, and even metro is coming up. So that is the gain of the city. And then we have a water management system where there are efforts to go for a metered supply and the 24/7 supply in the city, including rain harvesting process and recycling and reuse of the wastewater. Coming to, I think Surat is the first city which started using the methane gas of the sewerage plant for energy purpose, and that is something which is also in practice. Coming to the, I am a public health person, and I always feel what is not good for health is not good for climate and not good for environment. And that criteria should be used by every city. So we monitor the impact, we monitor the safe label or cutoff through health outcomes. And that's what is the only instrument which we have. Otherwise, coastal city, plains, hilly terrain cities will have a different, will need a different criteria and cutoff also for even heat waves and even for the air pollution. So though health is not the only outcome which we face due to environment and climate change, it is one of the emotional, maybe easily identifiable consequence, and we learned from Corona also about it. Now, urban health system by itself in big cities is a new arena. There was no systematic primary healthcare system which was developed. It is last 10, 15 years, it is coming up. And that's how that also is in learning phase, and people are trying to strengthen the services. Primary health care is most important for equity and for taking care of the first action. Let us call it a first aid in relation to climate and health. City has several initiatives like IT-enabled surveillance system for vector-borne diseases. We have a URSMS system which was launched during the SN project in the city, which gives daily information about from public and private sector about the health issues, acute health problems, where action is required on same day or at least within 24 hours. And we also have, we are very proud that the city has, municipal corporation have gone for a climate mode in terms of a support system for research, training, networking and advocacy. It started with the Surat Climate Change Trust, then came the Urban Health and Climate Resilience Center, and now it is institutionalized. The project of Urban Health and Climate Resilience Center is institutionalized as the Urban Health and Climate Resilience Center of Excellence. I think in India, this is the only municipal corporation which has gone for this type of supportive centers in trust, and this trust has been settled by Surat Municipal Corporation itself. And under that, under UHCRCE and UHCRCE, several activities were done. We are ready with heat action plan, which needs a different approach than Ahmedabad's first heat action plan, because Ahmedabad temperature and heat islands are quite different than the coastal city. And Surat is proud to have a first coastal city heat and health action plan in place in the city. And now we are working on the air pollution and health in the city. And like that, there are attempts to work on it. It's not only technical input. One of the beauty of city, we learned from 94, Surat is disaster prone also. And we learned from 94 experience that we need to be better governed. We need to be better integrated in our activity. We need intersectoral convergence to work for. Without that, the city cannot have a resilience. And that learning is carried forward, and people do remember, administrators and even the decision makers and technical group do remember that this is our strength and we have to build upon that. And that's how we also worked on how to bring how to talk about convergence and motivate people and do advocacy for that. I don't claim very high that it is there in place, but that mood is coming up. At least during disasters and crises, it has started. People have started working together. And then comes the community participation. This is a city of migrants. This is no man's land. We have highest migration in city. And that's why to bring that ownership and to involve people in taking care of themselves and climate is also a challenge. And we have few models which we have tried to work on it. We have also tried the urban model of microgreening in the city, and even the citizens' participation and technical group. City is also proud of public-private partnership for health. I am talking about more for health. It is already there for the other infrastructure and other activity, but health having public-private partnership is something which is unique of this city, as well as we also have a partnership with academic institutions. So urban is rich of academic institutions. And when they are involved, it is a win-win situation for both, because they also learn participating in the programs and projects, and the city also gets benefit of the academic experts. And that's what is a strength of the city. I am very happy that health is also given some space here, and my all efforts are to have health also as one of the output which is discussed, where we don't talk about tertiary care, heart transplant and other things, but we do talk about how to look at the climate issues and environmental issues along with health, and how to take care of both, and to talk about climate resilience as well as health resilience. So these are all efforts of the Urban Health and Climate Resilience Center of Excellence. I think I
Well,
have
thank
tried
you.
to convey.
Thank you, Dr. Vikas. Yeah, it was interesting to know. And I also have some information about Surat, because I remember meeting your city resilience officer several times. But I'm like,
I have met you also.
yes, sir. Of course. Yeah. But I am a little intrigued in the sense, because all this has to boil down to the people. And, all that high frenzy of dashboards that we talk about in smart cities actually should test the time of the crisis. And when we talk about strategies, I think the cities have to do more on adaptation. Of course, for mitigation also we have a role, but then you know how limited we have our role in it. Unfortunately, when the lockdown was announced, I think one of the worst cities, that reported the migrants moving out, and the kind of frenzy was Surat. So why is it? When we talk about and as you rightly pointed out, and for that matter, not Surat. Actually, we all are migrants, and migrants have created this world, if I may say it like that. So I think when we talk about building cities, and so all the adaptation strategies must come down to the people. And what would be and you've spoken very well about inequity. When we build our strategies, I think this aspect of participatory planning, when we plan these action plans, has to be kept in mind. And I am a witness to it when the Patna action plan was being made. In fact, I am one of the co-authors of that plan. And it's really it pains me in telling that how erroneous the whole process of planning is. So I think that process also has to be revisited. You can respond now, or you can respond later, ma'am, whenever you want.
No, I would like to say a few words about this. So 94 also we had faced migration, out migration. But that was only Surat, and that's why it was probably not much discussed at the scale it is discussed for Corona. But otherwise, because people look for their own people during crisis, and they want to go to their place for safety of themselves as well as family. So this out migration during crisis is not a new phenomenon for as far as Surat is concerned. Community participation is must, and especially for the equity, it is very important. But then when the city is rich, it is more a philanthropic, giving away things to the poor people, but not involving them. And involving them needs a process. And process needs lot many NGOs and other people to participate in the interactions to bring them on the board. So when we work with even a slum population for the resilience study with WRI project, we could learn that they are alone. They don't have people to support them. And when you are alone in disaster, you want to go to your own people. And that's what is the phenomena which probably we have learned in Surat and which is happening everywhere. And that it is also there in mind when the serious crises are there, who will look after them? The first priority will be some other group and who can afford and who can reach to the places, but they will be left out. And that's why probably, but then interestingly, Corona has also taught that it's not only poor who suffers. And the problem was somewhere else, and we labeled them as the spreaders and other things. But even that is a learning lesson that it can happen anywhere, and virus is not in control of anyone. and we need to build up even capacity of local settlers. But Surat migrants are not only poor migrants. We have cross-sectional migrants, and migrants have their own characteristic. Only original Suratis are hardly 1/3 left out in the city. Remaining are migrants from the Gujarat or from other states. And that's where the challenge lies. And city will need to think about it. Only thing is cities get award for visible infrastructures and visible things, and city get credit for the things which are visible, and that's why these soft things don't come into picture, and that's where the challenge lies.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. It was really lovely how you responded. So I think now we move on to our final panelists and participants. Professor K. Pandey, over to you, sir. How are you looking at this topic, and I mean, what is your take on it?
Can I share the screen?
Of course. I think our team
Yes.
will help.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead. Yes.
Dr. Singh, Vaidya Sahab, Madam Desai, and distinguished participants. I will cover why the COP26 came down to cities, what cities are doing, and what is the agenda in our own context. It was observed in the COP26 that countries came with promise. They brought promise and cities brought actions. They realized that things are done at city level, and scope is fairly wide. Nearly 18% urban land has potential for afforestation, for 25% reduction of carbon intensity, and cities have other potential of solid waste management, traffic, transportation, plantation, greenery. So they came up with interim agenda for cities by 2030 before we achieve global race to zero 2050. And 5 main points were included, that is zero or low carbon vehicles. Number 2, green energy, regular garbage disposal, climate smart code for buildings, and climate risk planning. It is not that all the countries are not doing anything. There are some countries. South Korea created 6-kilometer mixed-use waterfront corridor. Medellin in Colombia developed 36 green corridor along roads and waterways. China has a national garden city program. US has a 100 million fund for street trees and green city program. And these initiatives brought down the temperature from 1 to 6 degrees to the existing level, and minimized the heat island effect in respective cities. Particularly US Green City program had indicators of per capita green cover ratio, green space canopy, and vertical gardens, rooftop gardens, farming, etc. Were developed. Zero carbon vehicle. Sweden is the first country which has achieved vehicles, and non-motorized, cost-effective, environment-friendly city transport is also adopted by several countries, and with the e-pumping and other infrastructure. India is really a matter of concern, because we also have 60-70% carbon emission in urban areas, and by 2030, nearly half of the India, 40 to 45%, but by one standard, but in my view, it would be half, would be urban. And there the environment, our productivity and equity, particularly poor, what Madam Desai was saying, would be prime concern. We are already losing 1.7 to 2.5 million lives per annum due to pollution. Delhi recorded the highest per capita economic loss in 2019, being 13% of its GDP, 14% in Lucknow, 9% in Mumbai, 8% Hyderabad, and nearly 7% in Bengaluru and Chennai. So our major cities are hotspot and are prime areas for attention on climate, urban flooding, and other effects. National level initiatives, as our Professor Chetan Vaidya have mentioned, are taken by Government of India. Particularly, I would like to mention the 15th Finance Commission, which has come up with for the first time, health infrastructure. Funds for developing the health with the help of urban local bodies. So that is very important. And air quality improvement is also included for 44 urban agglomerations, which include more than 1,000 cities in India. So these initiatives will go a long way in our setup. And in addition to that, cities are making specific initiatives which will contribute to NDC and a reduction of emissions by, as Professor Vaidya mentioned, 45% of GDP. Maharashtra has initiated 30 cities for race to zero. But important is that there are other cities which are taking commendable steps. Bengaluru, I would like to mention just for 2 minutes. Bengaluru, nearly 45% of waste is handled locally. Locally means it is treated locally. There are lane composting, house-based composting, biomethanization, a dry waste collection center. 166 wards out of 198 wards have dry waste collection center. They segregate and dispose of. So the relatively little garbage is going to the dumping site. Bangalore also has a decentralized treatment. Indore, we all know, there's no need to mention further. Bhopal is another city which is using lakeside space for solar energy. New Delhi Municipal Committee also is using rooftop open spaces for development of solar energy. Not only that, Bhopal is raising 100 crore bond issue for generating solar energy outside the city. So these are some very appreciable steps taken by the cities in our country. 2030 urban agenda, what it should cover, first thing in my view is transport policy at city level should be included in the plan, which will include in major cities like end-of-use life vehicles, as Delhi is planning with the partnership of 7 private sector institution partners, and which has 4 million ELVs, which will go a long way to start this new area, which is needed in our country, and which will also be developing a circular economy through proper settling and handling of vehicles. Delhi's sale has increased. Today's newspapers say that as compared to 1.6% increase in petrol based and diesel based vehicles, e-vehicles growth has been 6%. So things are picking up. People are now aware. Green energy initiatives I have already mentioned. Regular garbage decentralization, particularly CND waste, is very important. Ahmedabad, Bengaluru, and Delhi, they are making good efforts in this, but there is further scope to improve the CND waste to improve the particulate matter 2.10, particularly. Climate smart codes, there is a need to revisit ECBC, municipal bylaws, and other acts so that a proper follow-up is adopted at city level. Climate risk planning, the planning, Mrs. Desai also mentioned, that is the key. Lake revival, water harvesting, blue-green policy for water and waste management, involving the community. The Bangalore example, which I said, involves the community. There is citizen participation program, where from right up to the grassroots level, they have Suchi Mitras, they have in charge, community in charges for lanes, for wards, and they have ward committee, perhaps the only city in the country which has ward committee and which is developing micro plan for waste management for 750 households. So that is something unique which we need to replicate in other cities in our country. And climate risk planning is also part of all these actions. But last and most important is the political economy, which should accept that we have to change, we have to involve the community, we have to take care of the poor, not only environment and climate change, because Rio +20 also concluded that, okay, environment is fine, climate change is fine, but poor is equally important. So we have to combine all the three in our agenda for 2030. So race to 2030 should be the focus with this initiative, but we have race to 22 and race to 24. And that is something which is harming the interest of common man. Nearly 23,000 crore rupees are not paid to renewable power companies by state utilities. Why? Because we want to distribute things like with open hands. And electricity utilities are not in a position to pay to the renewable power companies. If this happens, then how the initiative like Bhopal can be taken up? How the cities can be promoted to develop renewable energy? How the necessary funds can be mobilized for climate change? So political economy in the country should be positive towards climate change initiatives, number one. Number two, community, as I mentioned in Bangalore and there are several other cities, should be involved. And number three, the micro ward level initiatives should be taken up rather than thinking the whole city as one entity. So these are some initiatives which I thought I should share. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Pandey. And I'm really congratulate you for really bringing out those two important cities. But at the same time, I mean, I was just checking Delhi. I mean, you were saying something good is happening in Delhi, but don't forget, I mean, the Supreme Court had to say that soon your garbage waste site is going to cross the height of the Qutub Minar. So I think, but you rightly pointed out actually that actually waste segregation and waste management has to be done at the ward level, at the very micro level. And unfortunately, you also spoke about political economy, and I think very rightly, because unfortunately the push that we are witnessing in urban India, in fact in the cities, is for more capital intensive technology. That's why the push is for more waste to energy plants. That is not the way how we can deal or we can handle. So I think over to you, Arjun, and I can
just 1 minute, if you permit.
Yes,
You are right. The suo motu cognizance by court is very effective. In Bangalore, High Court ordered that you create ward committee and prepare micro plan. So, and that worked. So sometimes court intervention and community awareness together can also motivate our journey towards
but
targets.
People like Professor Vaidya would lose their jobs because courts are becoming the biggest urban planners in the country.
But sometimes they are positive.
Yeah. So over to you, Arjun. I can see only one question, and if there's anything else you can add, maybe then we can go back to our panelists for final round. But yeah, it was an interesting discussion and interesting presentation also. But there's one question that has come up. If you don't mind, if you can read that out. And
I will read it out, sir. Yes, the question is from Ajay Nayarji. Is asking that there is general lack of professional planners with adequate climate meteorology academic background, which is important to design plan for climate mitigation and adaptation works. Please comment on having the right people for the right work on climate crisis for local governance across India. And we also have many participants. If anyone have any question, they can come. Just raise your hand or anything. Okay, so shall we go to a round and start with Chetan, sir?
No, yeah. No, first, let me respond to a question from Ms. Nair on this. I think planning education recently, some of you may be aware, Niti Aayog has very closely, it has also produced a report on planning education, capacity building in planning education. And it has said that one unfortunate part of planning education is that there is no regulator. I mean, mostly people are happy there is no regulator, but this is one sector. Unlike architecture, where there is Council of Architecture, there is no regulator for planning education. That is the major problem. The other problem is there is no standard degrees. There are 25 kinds of degrees being given in the sector of planning sector. And this has created problems. The recruitment rules are not being able to be developed because of one of these issues. So the new higher education regulator, which is going to come up, which will be above AICT and as well as other regulators in education, UGC, that will include planning education expected. And it's also expected parallelly, AICT is developing its model curriculum for planning, which should include more and more climate education. So within, I was managing School of Planning and Architecture both in Bhopal and Delhi, and I realized the environmental planning section, this department is taking a lot of care of environment issues and so climate issues, but it is not reflected in other things, and we need to incorporate. And there is also need to change the urban development, urban and regional plan development and formulation guidelines by TCPO, which should include specific thing on climate changes. So all this is required to happen. And the question is, should the academics drive the practice or the practice drive the academics? And this is something Vikas can respond much better. But this is an issue in planners. It looks like the practice is driving planning profession at this stage, which is not the right thing. We need to put in more investment in research and more time for research in urban planning. Overall, I think we have taken few steps forward in taking care of climate issues into urban sector. It's not enough. We need to do much more. But I think we have begun and using that climate assessment framework, which the ministry has produced and NIUA is implemented. We should need to go much further steps, and it could be either a separate mission or Amrut and Swachh Bharat, and there should be specific issues, additional support, both technical and financial support for climate-related issues. I'll stop with that, Arjun, and there's any other question, I'll be happy to respond.
Yes. Wait, Arjun, I have another question.
I have a point to share.
Because what he's just said, ma'am, can you just give me a minute? Because
Sure.
I think I have to ask that question because before I forget, it just struck my mind when Professor Vaidya was explaining the question of praxis and theory, and I think there has to be a connect between praxis and theory. But at the same time, I think, Professor Vaidya, what we are also witnessing is, I don't know how to counter that, but it's really scary. And the pandemic has taught us none other than the kind of typologies that we've been building all through. The kind of paranoia for glass, and if you go to these large cities, glass, the large glass capital of the world was really pushing for it. Planners and architects became I wouldn't say fait accompli, but they were like kind of victims. So everywhere you find, those large glass walls outside. And the pandemic has shown that if you're staying on the 16th floor and on the 3rd floor, someone is infected, I think you are also a potential, highly potential. So, I think all these typologies also, this comes from praxis and also from theory, have to be revisited. Don't you think so?
I think our whole urban planning and urban design guidelines and our municipal codes needs to be reviewed. Now we are being pushed from two sides. One is the health issue, which pandemic is brought in front. The other is the finance issue, market as we call it. How do you balance the
issue? Also the climate, the kind of energy
climate,
that's required to cool
health, environment, climate is one side, and the other side is the market issue. And how do you balance the two is a question. There are people who give overnight answers. They say that the Barcelona kind of thing is very helpful. You can create a courtyard within the building or around a block. As block planning is with. There are people in Ahmedabad who believe that one should just decide what should be the ground area and leave the other all building codes, they should not be there, and link up with the more floor space index you give, the more you pay the amount to municipal corporation. And then there are people who believe the municipal corporation will take the money, but not give the infrastructure. So these are the things, and I think we are in a dilemma. I have no ready answer. But one thing I want to mention, when this vaccine, and Madam Vikas Desai could tell us more, when the vaccination was developed, the amount of research and the amount of time they took, even now they are saying it is only for emergency use. It's not a sure thing. It's only for 6% or 70% of disease. So how can we get that kind of investment in research? So should we get more linked to the market, or we should be doing something against the market? It's something I don't have ready-made answer. But these are issues we need to discuss further. Thank you so much. Madam, wanted to say something.
Ma'am, please unmute yourself.
Sorry. What I wanted to mention is we really need urban practitioners now. We need planners, we need architects, we need health people, we need lawyers, everyone in the city to contribute to the city resilience. But we do need all of them to be urban practitioners, understanding each other's avenues and learning little bit about focusing on that also. Say, for example, Corona example was discussed here. Now, as a health practitioner, I would expect that any city building which is coming up should have adequate ventilation and sunlight, which was otherwise also a criteria in past. But now we are going to have it for health sector as a preventive measure like vaccine. And how do we ensure that? Because for diabetes also vitamin D is important. For viral infection also vitamin D is important. For mental health also vitamin D and sunlight is important. How do we ensure that in design and in architectural design and in planning and in approval? So ultimately it is the infrastructure which we will have to consider. We have to consider the enforcement of the policy. We have to consider the education of all, that means doers and beneficiaries, and also engagement of people. All four together probably, and the urban practitioners mode probably will help us. Thank you.
Okay, so I think, Arjun, is there anything else you want to add? Or, okay, Professor Pandey wants to respond, please.
Yeah, I just want to add one small point that beautiful things are coming in a top-down manner. All the schemes, NCAP, 15th Finance Commission, urban missions, but they do not go up to the grassroots level. There is a bottom-up response which is needed, which is very weak. The 74th Act promoted some sort of decentralization up to town hall, but below the town hall, unless we do that, unless we try to plan for 750 or 1,000 households for different aspects of climate change, the success would be quite far.
Okay, I think well said. Arjun, any other?
Sir, we also have Samir Unhale, sir. Sir, are you there? Samir, sir.
Yeah, very good evening, Arjun.
Yes.
Good
Sir,
evening, everybody.
Joint Commissioner at Maharashtra government. Yes, Samir, sir, please go ahead. Will you be
Yeah, so Arjun, I think first of all, this United Nations framework for climate change convention and the COP26 as such were more of a frameworks for the nation states, and the existence or relevance of cities to that probably was one of the highlights of COP26. Probably prior to that, cities were mentioned, but the importance, I think, was emphasized in COP26 much more strongly than probably it was done earlier. Secondly, I think if you look at the outcomes of the COP26, I think mostly on the NDCs and the emissions by 2030, cutting the global emissions by 50%, the net zero emissions idea, which again got reinforced. And India, by the way, has mentioned 2070 as this net zero emission targets. I think these are the areas which otherwise do not strongly come or reflect or manifest in the day-to-day municipal functioning. The idea actually is not there. Of course, the Vaidya sir said that the climate smart assessment framework probably was one of the first such attempts to mainstream the climate concerns in the usual functioning of a municipality. And here we tend to follow this new public management framework where there are competitions and data transparency and ranking. And well, yes, it did create some amount of enthusiasm there. But I think as new challenges that we are looking at, we require credible actions that will create impact. Otherwise we might just be doing conferences, and to make change happen at ground level, especially in a country of a subcontinental country or a country whose population is almost 3.5 continents put together, I think is one of the important major challenges when we are trying to correlate the COP26 to the municipal administration and the city functioning. I think it was very rightly mentioned by Dr. Desai that the urban practitioners need to increase now. Even in, with due respect to everybody, even in academics, apart from architect and land use planning, no other discipline is, mainstreaming in urban issues. I mean, it could be sociology, it could be economics, it could be maybe all the other fields which need to now focus on urban areas, and probably we require specialization now in urban areas across the disciplines and their interdisciplinary studies. I think when we look at city functioning and try to correlate that with the COP26 outcomes or the general framework of climate concerns and issues, one thing that comes out is, I think, the pledges that the cities have to make for the race to zero pledges, I think, were made, and the city action plans that need to come out. I think when we try to look at the usual functioning, there are three areas directly come out. One, of course, is the solid waste management, which is a major non-carbon gas contributor. By the methane it emits, I think it's huge. Second, of course, is the transport. Third is I think water supply, the energy consumption that is done in the water supply and sewerage management systems. and I think other energy consumptions and stress on renewable sources and e-vehicles would be the other general ideas which could be relevant to the COP26 outcomes, or the general idea of climate smart city assessment frameworks. I think as far as the cities are concerned, I think one example I had shared earlier, which was the unique mission that is being done at the state level by the state government, which is called as the Maji Vasundhara competition, which means that the cities are now mainstreaming the usual functioning and the 5 elements of the, or as we call the Panch Mahabhutas, in the water, land, air. Those relevances as the city functioning is concerned now are getting regularly mainstream, and I think it's an activity which could be further, even adopted by the other cities. Of course, a climate smart assessment framework will be mostly for the bigger and larger cities, but even a small Nagar Panchayat of say 10 and 15,000, we need to now, mainstream this idea of climate concerns. Secondly, I think as was mentioned, education is an important part. The municipal system does have a educational some of influence over the educational system and some direct schools which they run, and therefore I think through that cities could look at giving emphasis to the climate aspect or the environmental aspect of the education and training. I know there is a bit of doubts about what such effect, how effectful they are, but I believe that the power of education and the power of people who have ingrained those ideas does manifest. It might take some time, but it manifests more certainly and more surely and more impactfully in maybe time that we have. So along with that, I think water supply, yes, we are having IMPRI 2.0 coming. And I think apart from the following the basic principle of reaching good pure water pipe supply, I think there is tremendous potential for energy audits being a major part of the framework, and therefore the energy consumption, say per capita, per square kilometer, or per MLD could also be taken into consideration, and the energy footprint of a city therefore could be brought into some mainstream actually within the municipal thinking at all. Of course, as I always say, and even sir would also agree that when you talk of municipal bodies, you cannot neglect the local political leadership. We may always have the national leadership and the state leadership do talking of these issues and being sensitive to these issues, but it might not always happen into the urban local bodies due to the daily functioning, the daily political job which a local councillor or a mayor has to do. It is difficult for him to also focus the resolutions that he is making, the decisions that the municipal body takes, the bylaws or rules which they might be making, and whether this can be otherwise it will just remain a task of the bureaucrats and the technocrats. So local political leadership will have to be sensitized and brought into the will have to be made an important stakeholder and important player into the climate related actions which the cities have to take. And I think that's what the Maji Vasundhara competition that Maharashtra has been taking is also doing that. I think Swachh Bharat mission has proved that the local political leadership and the local municipal staff, because all the cities are run by the municipal clerks and the municipal junior engineers, and the commissioners might have influenced it some more time, but we will have to look at our cutting edge, to get the climate framework also relevant to the day-to-day functioning and working of the sanitary inspector and probably the junior engineer who runs the municipal bodies. Really, I think with this framework, I also felt that the planning aspect was also mentioned. Of course, with Vaidya sir being with us and Desai ma'am and Pandey sir here, I think I'm not competent to talk of planning when these stalwarts are here. But I think yes, the intentions and they getting translated into the words and vocabulary of the laws and finally reflecting on ground is a difficult task. It's a challenge, and one requires each and every one to be concerned, to be to be connected to this goal of climate change and action. Because whatever we say, there is an element of doubt or element of shall we say lack of commitment among the cutting edge people. It might be political or administrative or clerical, whatever. That what we are talking is, does it making sense to them? I'm sorry for using this we and them dichotomy, but very often if you tell a junior engineer to get something done, they might say, why am I doing this? I mean, what at all it is going to make a difference? If there is going to be a financial implication, will the local body, local political leadership agree to the additional expenses that might be required to look at the climate actions that we're talking of? So I think I am confident and optimistic that the lessons we have learned from the Swachh Bharat mission, I think, tell us how to energize the entire urban ecosystem of India for any particular purpose. And especially currently, the three activities which are being done at the central level, which is the Swachh Bharat 2.0, the Amrut 2.0, and the climate smart assessment framework, which would be, of course, extended to most of the cities, just like what we are doing here, like Majivasundara. I think would be a good important steps of mainstreaming climate concerns into day-to-day functioning of the municipal body, the resolutions and the decisions which are taken by the municipal body, and of course the day-to-day actions of the municipal staff. I think the sanitary inspector, if you look at the carbon footprint of cities, I think some experiments were done. We had done one experiment at the smart city with the help of, I think, ICLAI. I think Pune had also done. I am sure many other cities must have done. And the climate footprint per capita of the cities then was around 1.56, around 1.5 tons per capita per year, per annum. And I think the recent study, I think, was of 2.0 was the figure that I saw. So of course, we can understand that if you look at the regional variation, major cities, big city regions and metropolitan regions and million plus cities, I think will be contributing much more to this as compared to the smaller Nagar Panchayats that we have. So it might, of course, cities like Mumbai and Delhi and probably Calcutta, Hyderabad, Ahmedabad, also they have greater contribution. So I think what I feel is that COP26 otherwise becomes a stratospheric concept for the actual functionaries of municipalities, and therefore a good framework and good training ideas and good capacity building and maybe some incentivization, motivation, morale also are important factors of running a nice nationwide ecosystem. And I think the climate concerns need to come up. The problem is that you don't immediately see. You can talk of a stinking garbage pile or a pothole immediately, but when you have to tell and convince the people, local leadership and the cutting edge staff that this is also more dangerous and more important thing which might happen after maybe 20, 50 years, whatever. So it requires greater communication skills also for this idea of climate cities. I think as was mentioned earlier, the funding, of course, is important. Right now, there is no special window for any financing of cities on the climate concerns. Probably a special window on climate, or at least a pool of schemes and missions under the climate concerns could be a good idea, in which there would be clarity, because after all, governance, apart from making laws, is funding and financing, and therefore it is going to be a very important part of creating any initiative, for which would make an impact on the ground. So I think I think, as was mentioned earlier, a good national mission for climate smart cities, or at least it being an important component of any existing mission, would be an important part. And by and large, I'm greatly hopeful and optimistic, and also confident that India's ecosystem, Indian urban system, can change if requisite political, financial, and prestige is given to it, and if the citizens, most importantly, find that there is a point taking in inconvenience and extra expenditure on their day-to-day lives of contributing to the climate indices that we are talking of. So I think we require a new type of municipal functioning. We require a new type of city living as the time is going very fast. I think we will have to take help of new technologies wherever possible. I think I am an enthusiast on digital technologies, so I tend to see a lot of hope in using digital tools and means of convincing people. And I think community participation of the participative democracy that very often is talked of, I think is an idea which could be experimented with the cities. And in there, of course, we have idea of digital town halls is also there. We can always take public opinion feelers onto the general idea and moving beyond grievance and complaint redressal to meaningful and effective participation framework of the citizens. I think that would be required, if not now. And of course, the 74th Constitutional Amendment Act, it is almost, the basic idea is now 40 years old. And some scholars do say that it is mostly an indicative sort of suggestions which are made. Nothing actually is apart from the formation of the State Election Commission and the State Finance Commissions and probably taking election in 6 months. Most of the provisions of the of the Constitutional Amendment Act are generally indicative. They are, that's the discretion of the state government if they want to do and when they want to do. So probably, as was mentioned earlier, also I think we do require another set of amendments and maybe another constitutional amendment bill act for the urban governance. And I think the time is going to be the essence. We would require to move very fast, connect with people more widely and more easily, and convince people of the intentions. That if people start doubting the intention as to why this idea is coming up now, are we just aping the Western think tanks, or are we just so? These doubts do float a lot in within the masses. Maybe 1 or 2 or 5% of people who are probably reading and studying might agree to the idea. But if you want someone not to drive his car and take a public bus to his work and come back or to school, then people will start doubting it. And therefore, the messaging of the climate change concerns and anxieties and the emergencies also has to be done to the people, because without people, just technocrats and bureaucrats talking is not going to happen, not going to make any change. So we require people representatives, we require financing, and I think new way of managing municipalities and running cities requires all the stakeholders will have to be brought in. And I think there's lots and lots of work to do to make city functioning relevant to the concerns of climate emergencies. And I think going to be a big task for all of us. So Arjun, thank you. So thank you for giving the opportunity. Now, Thomas, sir, thank you for allowing me to share some of my stray thoughts. Thank you, Vaidya sir and Desai ma'am. Thanks a lot, Arjun.
Thank you, Mr. Sameer. I think he made some very interesting points as far as the perspective of governance is concerned from a bureaucrat's viewpoint. But well, Arjun, I think you'll have to take it over from here, because I'll just make 2 points. And are you there, Arjun?
Yes, sir, I'm here. Yes.
So, I've always been accused of really being like quite strangely, I don't know, all our panelists are very optimistic, and I am probably the youngest of all the panelists, and I'm very pessimistic. I do not know why, but I don't know if it's age or what. But the point is, actually, the way we are heading is not the way we should have been. Of course, the panelists have also pointed out more participatory. Why is it that the participatory governance models are not being built up? I think that's where we have to go, where we have to ask the questions. And these missions that we are talking about, why I'm so obfuscatingly concerned about these missions, because already a large time period is over. And what we are getting is just some competitive kind of framework. Beyond that, if you see, the kind of percentage of our garbage being treated, where are the results? I mean, where is it that we are finding the results pouring in? So unfortunately, that's not the way. And as far as smart cities are concerned, I think that's why I pointed out in the beginning, it's not even 1% to our commitments that, when we talk about climate change and, reducing our carbon footprint. So I actually wrote the Shimla Smart City plan, but when I go back to Smart City, because one of my officers and I, and we worked out with our chief secretary the financials of that Smart City plan, and it's completely topsy-turvy. I mean, it's completely inverse what was planned and what is, and apparently that is what we are. So smart cities are actually leading to urban flooding, more and more kind of infrastructure that we are building, occupying the spaces of the pedestrians. What is our mobility plan? I mean, more capital-intensive technologies, more metros. Whereas we know from cradle to the grave. I mean, that's how a diesel bus is 10 times is better than 10 your EV cars, because after all, where we depend on that's what the mobility sector speaks about. Where is it that we are witnessing this? So we are occupying the spaces of cyclists, pedestrians. No. I'm so sorry. This is not where how we are going to go ahead. So therefore, I said I am very pessimistic. But lastly, Professor Vaidya, I'll come to you. Because planners are so important, and I often quote it. I'm really fascinated by reading this book by Simon Stein. He is just like you. He's an architect planner and probably has done lots of work in US. And he has written the book called The Capital City, the Real Estate State. I mean, that according to him, that's the driving force for the US cities. He says, hey, the planners are not corrupt inherently. It's the system that makes us to draw the kind of, the tools that we use. Okay. So, and he also goes on to add that actually, if that has to be checked, we have to go for more participatory, more democratic, not just participatory. You listen and you say, hey, show off, but actually more democratic, where they own. There's no ownership of the city there, because, and we have the latest world, the inequality report. I mean, what are we doing? I mean, the last 3 decades. Just look at the spaces that we have occupied. I think but of course with an optimistic note that we shall just definitely move ahead, and things are not going to remain the same. And because for them it's future, Professor Vaidya. For us it's present. It's not future. Our present is ruined. For them it's the future that is ruined. I think with that, Arjun, I'll as I told you, I think I'll have to move out, and then you can take over, and maybe if final remark from our panelists, because we've been a fascinating journey from 7 o'clock. So you can take over, and I just bid.
Right, sir. I will just go to each of our panelists for their way forward and concluding remarks. But I also wanted to gain this opportunity and raise some questions on behalf of everyone. So my first question was to Professor Vaidya only, that sir, you also suggested that many of the guidelines are also now old. You are DPFI. Do you think the time has come for them to change? We also have service level benchmark. Those are also 2008, quite old. And on financial aspect also, the HPC committee was also previous. So do you think a new set of these guidelines, rules in terms of policy, or the lighthouse documents which we have, the time is really now? Another set of, we also talk about schemes. In housing, we have a global housing technology challenge. Then we have Swachh Bharat Mission, Amrut, many new things also coming. And we also have more of solar energy, EV, and industry wise also. But what I wanted also to know that more of these are also greenfield, the newer projects. But like how in developing country like us or China is struggling is of the redevelopment of the inner cities or the area which is already built, and we are building the informal settlements also. How do we integrate that into, because in all of the reports like the BUR, biennial update review, only the forest is the place where we are, not getting. So in our reports, everything is coming, fine. But when we see our cities, the air pollution or sewage, or then we have landfills, these are not getting reflected in any of the metrics. To see for, we have ease of living index. Do you think that index also needs to be now much more integrated with these kind of facets, so that we also see? And finally, sir, also that we also have a lot of rankings for intra-city for our country. Is it time now to also have this ranking comparable with other cities as well, global cities? So how do we move forward in terms of this metrics also, so that we have some concrete things going ahead? And next question I wanted to ask to Professor Pandey, that sir also suggested that 2024 and 2030 as very important timeline for having cities or governance which is actionable. And sir also suggested that most of the urban governance is also top down and not reaching beyond town hall, or having, which Samir sir also highlighted. Sir, even many experts, global experts also suggest that, and Indian experts also, that our cities are also more of public-led, that state-led cities. It has, if that investment won't go, how it will function. In terms of participation of private players, that has also not kicked off. How do you see that? How do we move ahead? Because in some part there is densification and the economic development, prosperity and environment, this conundrum is coming. So how do we see in terms of target, we will move ahead in this? And from Dr. Desai, I thought to also gain that, we are talking about community participation, CSOs, experts, practitioner training, but how we can have effective communication on this topic? Do we really need a new mission or reorientation of our mission? Because we're having some green shoots of climate smart cities and other. Do you think now the umbrella of this needs to be changed very drastically to have more impact, as Samir sir was also suggesting? How do we see that we go ahead and move forward? So your comments also with the way forward. You can take the time you require to suggest those. Shall we start with Professor Chetan Vaidya sir? So please unmute. Chetan sir, yeah.
I think you have raised many issues.
Yes,
I may not be able to respond to all of them, but I'll try as much as I can. I think this both urban and regional plan formulation guidelines were issued in 2014. And then we had municipal bylaws 2016. Both needs to be reviewed, and both from the point of view of environment and disaster and climate change. I think both needs to be reviewed. And in reviewing them, there has to be a balance between, there is one group of people who said cities should reflect the market, and other group says you focus on environment. How do we balance these two is an issue where I don't have ready-made answers, but I think this needs to be debated and discussed. What kind of balance we want to do between giving a improved living condition vis-a-vis market, the requirements of the market within a kind of a country which has 20 to 30% poor in every city. So that is one issue. As well as the second, and I also want you to review, to consider reviewing Model Municipal Act. I think this was produced in 2013. Even this act needs to be reviewed now. And when you're reviewing the Town Planning Act, parallelly one has to review the Model Municipal Act, which some people have read, and Bihar has completely changed its municipal system because of this, but I think that needs to be done. That is one issue. The second, as far as ranking is concerned, I have come to a conclusion, we have too many rankings. So one is that the urban poor are not fully recognized and covered in the ranking system. And the other is that rather than focusing on improving each of these indexes, is it possible to develop a composite index? Because after I talked last time on your conference, a new index of SDGs and cities have been produced, have been developed by Niti Aayog. So how does a mayor or we give a composite index. Is it possible? That is something I would like to you. I am not very eager to link our ranking with the international ranking, because I have worked on university ranking, and we say we are not we don't have world ranking of universities, because 30% of the points are given for cross-border faculty and students. And in India, if somebody comes in School of Planning and Architecture, somebody comes from Northeast, it's much bigger achievement than somebody going from Belgium to Netherlands. So I am strong believer of Indian ranking system, and which is also in the universities as well as in the urban system. I'll stop that, and maybe I not responded to all your questions and comments, but that is what I remember.
But so your way forward, if you want to suggest it.
Empower the local bodies and eventually citizens. I think that is what my small message will be.
Thank you. Dr. Desai, over to you.
I would rather say, instead of waiting for some things coming up from the higher level, maybe national or state level, city should start working for their local citizens with their own initiatives, and there is a wisdom and understanding with community also and the other people in the city also. My concern is, if we are talking about some climate things achieved by 2025, 30, 50, what happens to survival and health by that time? We will survive, people will survive to face those achievements. So we also need to work on immediate action plan where health and economy and other things are to be considered, and people's wisdom also should be encased. People know about their city, people know, understand their city better, and they can give solutions also. It doesn't lie only with those who are educated for certain qualifications and for certain, or leaders and elected members. So there should be a mechanism to understand that, and a process to, at least continuous process to enhance convergence, intersectoral convergence at municipal corporation level. And this is not very easy, though talked about it. People do understand its importance, but they say it's in practice, it is not feasible. And that's why it is not happening. So we always say health focus in every planning, child-friendly city focus in every planning, but who will bring that? Because there's no directive, nobody wants that. And as far as ranking is concerned, say when ranking is favorable, people are happy with that. And when ranking is not favorable, people say this was wrong, that was wrong in ranking, and that's why. So I am not very sure about the ranking helping cities to build up their capacity. Instead of that, there can be something else, I don't know. But this is what I have observed. And I think cities should start building their own capacity and start working on it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So over to Professor Pandey. So now judiciary is also so much, calling states for and governments for their, this aspect. How do you see it? To go ahead, Professor Pandey.
I think judiciary and civil society, both. The people need to be made aware. So awareness at the grassroots level, it comes with the decentralization. Nobody talks about 74th Constitution Amendments unfinished agenda, what Professor Vaidya mentioned initially. So we have to work on that. And judiciary, if people approach judiciary, certainly they will come to help, as we have seen in a couple of cities. But the main issue is how to involve the grassroots people. This is not a question of a very high-level planning and engineer or architect. There are simple points of actions towards climate change which people need to take. Like in Bangalore, they have Kalika Kendra, which means a training center, and where they display different equipments which are needed to process kitchen waste, to process green leaf. So this type of SOPs is to be known to common people would go a long way to bring the climate change. And you also said economy and climate change, there is no rift. The climate change actions have very strong component of circular economy. It will bring employment and income when we take action. So I have to say these 2 points.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir, for all your comments. Of course, so much has to be taken, and so many fabulous points all of you panelists have raised. Thank you very much. So quickly to give a formal vote of thanks, I would like to thank all of you for joining us today on this very important panel discussion on COP26 and urban local governance, organized by IMPRI Center for Habitat, Urban and Regional Studies. And I would like to thank all of our panelists, especially Professor Chetan Vaidya for taking the lead and organizing this conference, helping us so much. Dr. Vikas Desai, Professor K. Pandey, and our moderator, Tikender Singh Panwar, sir, for having such a wonderful deliberation on this very important topic. So much to gain. And I would like also to thank all those attendees here and on Facebook Live, and those who would watch us later on YouTube and listen to us on our podcast. We hope that you'll keep tuning to our web policy talk and local governance future episodes. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Have a nice evening. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Very
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you, Arjun. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Everybody.